Yes. Welcome to APN TV Media, your author publisher network. We've got a lot in store for you today. I said, I'm going to say, oh Lord, but we got a lot in store for you today. And with one of our great hosts, Bob Beatles. How you doing, Bob?
Thank you, Stephen. Good. How about you,
Another great host, Michelle
Stephen?
Murray. Yes, how you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing great. I'm going to get this
Yes, we do. As a matter of fact, the guest we have today, we do have a returning author for our second guest. Our returning author is Ken Stark with Stage 3. Remember last time was Stage 3, but now he has Stage 3 Alpha. But with no introduction needed, our first guest is Jacqui Letran. And those you know about Jacqui Letran, she has award-winning novels. Plus, this book that she has out right now is very interesting. It's called I Would, But Damn, My Mind Won't Let Me. Yes, that is the title of her book. It is awesome. So guess what, everybody? Let's get this party started.
Let's do it.
And we'll see all of you after this.
That day, I rushed home, determined to start painting what I had witnessed. 1 week later, it was finished. It didn't feel like I was painting it. I was guided. Don't ask me how, I can't tell you. But I knew it possessed power of some sort. I was determined to preserve it. Wrapping it in the bandages from Lazarus's body, I hid it away in a sacred place. I wept as I swore never to paint another picture again.
Welcome back. All right.
Jacqui.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Jackie will be on screen.
We've been waiting all morning.
Jackie, you up there?
I'm here. How are you guys?
Doing fine, doing fine. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for asking.
You look great today. Absolutely great.
Thank you.
What time is
It's
it where
just a great day.
What time is it in California right now?
Oh, I am not. I am in North Carolina, and yesterday it was 4 degrees, and today it warmed up to 12.
Oh, show off. We're in Michigan. We can't feel that wonderful.
Wait a minute. You're yes. I remember being in North Carolina, but just a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, you were in North Carolina. It was like 40 degrees or something like that. It just dropped all of a sudden.
Yes, I think this
That
whole
was
cold
weird.
freeze that everybody is experiencing is hitting us big time.
Well, you're
Yeah,
inside where
yeah.
it's warm. That's what counts.
Yes.
Why don't you start us off and tell our viewers about your book? Now I know there's 3 in the series, right?
Yes, there are 3.
Okay, and we're focusing on your last one that I would, but my damn mind won't let me. Well, we all say that, right?
Yes, we do, and that's why I title it that way. It's actually my second book. The third one is Unleash Your Inner Superpowers.
Nice, nice. That's all the stuff I had to do this morning before I could get out of bed. All of that. It's so cold out. But why don't you give us a little synopsis of the book that we're trying to cover today?
Sure. So I'm going to just show it really quick. This is
Nice.
I Would, but my damn mind won't let me. And it's the second book in the series. And basically, it is a primer to your mind. You know, our mind controls everything, our experiences, the way we act, the way we think, the way we feel things. But a lot of people don't really understand how the mind works. And once you understand how the mind works, you can really take control of your thought processes. You can take control of your emotions and therefore your actions. So it's a quick little primer for how your mind works.
I like that. Give us a little bit about your history and how you became writing self-help books, because I mean, a lot of people, they're in huge demand right now, and especially with it being the new year, and Lord knows we all need help one way or the other. But what is your background that led you into doing this type of author?
Yeah, so I've never really wanted to be an author before, and I have a practice. My practice is to really help people heal from past trauma, past wounds, and really, again, understand their mind. And with every client that I see, I would teach them this basic thing in the first session. And my clients would say, "Can you write it down for me?" And I'm like, "No, we just talked for an hour. I'm not going to write it down for you." But I kept on hearing the same request over and over again. "Can you write this down? Can you write it down? It was great info. I need that in writing." And so I thought, okay, I can probably put together some kind of quick and dirty PDF for them. And as I started writing, I got more and more interested. I'm like, no, I have a lot of great content to share, contents that can help people, at any time of the day. They don't have to be sitting in front of me and talking to me. They can read a book and really understand how to start this healing process. And so instead of a PDF, it became a book. My background before all this writing and even before my holistic practice is I'm a nurse practitioner by trade. And for the first 15 years or so of my career, I prescribed medication for people who have anxiety and depression and ADHD and other mental health problems. And I kept on seeing the same people over and over again. A year later, 3 years later, 5 years later, they're still coming in for medication refills, for medication management. And I got really, really discouraged because I wanted to help people be better. And I felt like I wasn't doing my job because while the pills were taking that edge off and masking some of the symptoms, they weren't truly better. They didn't have full control of themselves. And so I started looking into alternative ways I can help my patients and found these amazing holistic tools, fell in love with it, and actually gave up my medical practice.
Interesting. So you're a holistic medical practitioner. Yeah?
Easier, a hypnotherapist and
Okay.
a mindset mentor.
Nice. You help a lot of people.
Yes.
What would you say your clientele is up
In terms of the count,
to? Yeah.
I don't have any long-term clients. The way I measure my success is how quickly I can turn over their pain and, bridge that into their strength. An average client of mine will see me between 8 to 12 sessions, so about a 3 months time frame. So I'm always turning over. Right now in my practice, I have probably 12 active clients. And as I'm finishing up with them, I'm taking on new clients, and then I'm always looking for new clients because, again, if things are working the way I want it to, they're done with me after a few months.
That's very good. Now, is your book aimed at a specific age group, or is it just right across the spectrum?
So the content within the book really applies to anybody who wants to improve themselves and understand how their mind works and how to control their thoughts and feelings. But the books were geared towards teenagers for a couple of reasons. The first one is, my own struggle as a teenager led me to want to help people. And I want to be able to give back to that critical time. Teenage time is just so confusing to begin with anyways. And then if you have other issue compounding on top of that, and if you don't have the right resources, it can make it incredibly difficult. So I wrote these books for teens for that specific reason. And another reason why I love working with teens and writing for teens and doing other things for teens is that this population are kind of like the population that people don't really, there's not a lot of resources for. So for example, if you go to a bookstore and you go to the self-help section, the majority are for adults. And then if you go to like the parenting sections, the majority are for parenting of younger children. The teen years are not really addressed to the level that it should be, especially since the teen years is so difficult for most teens. And so I wanted to provide more resources for this very underserved population.
Well, you hit that on the head because the mind is changing, the actions are changing, and sometimes you don't even know why you're reacting the way you are. So with this book, is this book supposed to help those individuals that are of the teen years and going through such a traumatic experience? Mind,
yes.
body?
Yeah, so again, it's really about understanding, why you are experiencing the things you're experiencing. You said, one of the things is you might not even know why you're reacting a certain way. And most of the time, even as adults, we don't know why we react a certain way. We might have an idea, and oftentimes that idea is wrong because the way that we react is on a much deeper rooted incidents that tends to happen in a much younger age group, right? So the premise of the book is really about belief systems and how they get created. And once the belief systems get created, how that dictates your life experiences. And the majority of our belief systems are fully developed by 7 years old. So, yes, right?
Wow.
And oftentimes from misinformation, because a 7-year-old or younger doesn't have the full understanding of what's happening. They only have a small piece of the picture. And they use that small piece of the picture and their limited ability to process information and create a definition for that, an experience for that, and beliefs surrounding that. And once you create a belief system, it pretty much stays with you for the rest of your life, unless you actually go in there and work to change your belief system. So a lot of the ways that we experience life are based on what happened to us as little children.
That's really interesting.
That is. And are any of these beliefs tied to specific religious beliefs?
Religious belief definitely can create a lot, or let me back up. Religious experiences can tie back to a lot of belief systems, right? It's really what you live on a day-to-day basis that create those belief systems. But I worked with thousands of clients, and what I discovered that no matter why a client come in to see me, there's really only 4 faulty beliefs that I need to work on with these clients. And if we can transform these 4 faulty belief systems, everything changes for them, no matter where it came from, whether it's religion, whether it's from, abuse, whether it's from neglect, whether it's from other, natural disasters. It doesn't matter. These experiences, these traumatic experiences, leads to the creation of 4 vital belief systems. And if those are changed, everything changed.
Now you have these teenagers ask themselves questions. What would you say is the most important question a teenager or anyone else could ask himself or herself?
The most important question they can ask themselves, oh my gosh, that's such a good question, is really, what is my part in this? How can I take responsibility in whatever that's happening to me, and what can I do to change it? Because oftentimes what we do is we say they caused the problem, right? No matter what's happening.
Not my fault. I hear that all the time.
I didn't do it. It's they. If they didn't do that, I wouldn't be this way. I wouldn't be angry. I wouldn't be hurt. I wouldn't be this. But if you just stop and go, okay, so what role did I play in this? Instead of being a victim, you are now in control of actually changing the scenario. So as much as you can, look inwards, take responsibility for what you can do to make the changes that you want to have happen.
That's some powerful words for I'd say tweener or teener to digest. However, it's an excellent concept. Have you done any public speaking for schools or anything like that to help children understand this concept?
I do. I love running workshops. I do them at schools, and I do them at the YMCA and the Boys and Girls Clubs and things like that. Doing big presentation to a group is fun, but it's not as exciting to me than doing smaller workshop where I can actually get in there and works with the kids more hands-on and really get deeper into the topic. So that is something I'm always looking to do more of, something I get super excited about doing, connecting with my readers and my audience on that level.
That's awesome. That's awesome, actually. Now, do you use your books as a guide?
It depends on what the organization is looking for. Okay. The concepts within the books are all, pretty much the same, and is that you have everything you need within you. You just got to learn how to use it.
Right. Actually, a lot of adults could learn from that also. So you do recommend the book for more than, the demographics is more than adult or teen population. It's kind of age bracket, what would you say?
So in terms of who I wrote it for and the examples within the books, they're more teen related, 13 to maybe even young adults, maybe 13, 23-ish. The examples would apply to. But the content, if you take the stories out of it, if you just take the content, it applies to anybody.
Yeah, because I was kind of wondering when I was going through your 5 simple questions to reclaim your happiness.
Yes.
That it related pretty much to everyone, more than just teens. That because I was looking at. And one thing we do congratulate you on your first book, 5 Simple Questions to Reclaim Your Happiness, which won the 2017 Literary Classics, nice. A gold medal for young adult and self-help. So we congratulate you on that.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Also, I want to acknowledge as well that that book, okay, which I think it delved into your other current book that we have now that we announced, again, that it is, I believe, not just for adults, but also can be family oriented. Is that correct?
Most definitely, especially the 5 simple questions. It's really about, helping people to understand their emotions, their emotional triggers, and what they can do to take control of that. And oftentimes when we have an argument, what we do is we sit there and we stew on our emotions, and we wait for the other person to say that magical phrase that we've been wanting to hear, and the other person have no clue, right? And so rather than waiting for the other person to make you feel happier, I'm putting the reader in a place of control, of creating their own happiness by using these 5 super simple questions to really understand what they're feeling, and then to let it go if it doesn't serve them.
Okay, give us the 5 simple questions.
They are very simple. So the first one is, what am I feeling? A lot of us, we say things like, I'm mad or I'm angry. But that's not true for most of the time, because that might be our go-to word, but we might be feeling irritated one time. We might be feeling sad another time. We might be feeling, frustrated another time. But when you use the same word over and over again, it makes it so big, and it makes it much more difficult to let go. So getting to understand your specific emotion for that specific incident is really helpful to help you to start letting it go. Second question is, why do I feel this way? And a lot of people would say things like, I don't know why I feel this way, because they never take the time to just kind of pause and look inward and seeing what is triggering for them, which belief system is being triggered. The third one is this emotion useful for anything? And most negative emotions are not useful for anything other than a flag waving that says, hey, you're not happy right now. Do something about it. The fourth question is, how can I see this situation differently? Oftentimes when we get triggered that way, we get so myopic and all we can see is how it's affecting us based on what happened to us in the past, based on our belief systems, without thinking about the other person, because their intention could be completely different than how you're receiving it. And then the fifth question is my favorite question, and it is, would I rather be right or happy? And oftentimes if you choose to be right, to be angry or hurt or upset, you're not choosing happiness. So that question helps people to understand that they have a choice. They can choose to hold on to this negative emotion, or they can choose to let it go and be happy instead.
I think that's really important. A huge step in it is to realize that it is a negative emotion. And not all emotions are positive, or emotions do play huge parts on negativity and positivity. So if you can choose to keep the happy ones and get rid of the negative ones, I mean, that's a step right there.
Yes, most definitely. The way that I see negative emotions, I don't look at them as like these are horrific, bad things that I need to avoid. I look at them as just a warning sign that I'm not in alignment with who I am and who I want to be. And so when I start feeling angry, that's a good signal for me to pause and go, okay, I'm not happy right now. What can I do in this moment to get me back into alignment with my true self, with my own happiness?
Do you recommend at the end of the day that a person use a mantra or another means to meditate and focus on what happened during the day, and then use those 5 questions to see how it could have been different?
Definitely. I have never taught it that way, to just kind of like do a reassessment of the day and then using those 5 questions like that. But I definitely will incorporate that because I really like that idea. But the mantra, the affirmation, the meditation, the mindfulness, whatever it is that fits you and your personality in your life, definitely do that. One of the things I really recommend for a lot of my clients is either doing a self-love journal or a gratitude journal. Because oftentimes the way that our mind works is we are so focused on picking out the negatives, picking out things that are not working out well, things that are not going right. And we forget to focus on the million things that are in fact going well. And so having a gratitude journal can really help you refocus in all the things that are going well for you in your life. And the self-love journal is really cool too. It's just like the gratitude journal where you just write down all the things that you love about yourself, all the compliments that you've heard people say to you, all the compliments that you want to give yourself. And you keep it in a book form so that you have something to refer back to. And when you are in that state where you're upset with yourself, and instead of calling yourself names and stuff like that, you can go, well, I made a mistake because I'm still a really good person, and go back to your self-love journal and remind yourself why you're such a good person.
Wow, that would be a great concept to instill in the curriculum in schools and homeroom. Wouldn't that be something?
I would love to see a lot of changes in the school system.
That's another book.
That's another show altogether.
Well, speaking of that, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you are working on now so you can give our viewers a little idea what to look forward to.
Yeah, so I'm just going to show you my third book, The Unleash Your Inner Superpowers. That was actually released mid-November 2017, and it's doing absolutely fantastic. And that really teaches people about the innate powers that we all have within ourselves, that if we understand what they are and how to activate them, we can really create the changes that we want to create. And again, that came out in November, so I'm taking a break from writing to do a new project that I'm really, really excited about. I'm starting a podcast. So a lot of what I have in book form, I'm going to actually, reuse and expand on in my podcast. And the podcast is called Stop the Bully Within. And that concept came to me because of all the clients I see, like all the clients, again, when they first come in to see me, they think the problem is all external. It's these people did these things to me, therefore I am a victim and I am this way. But what I recognized was a trend was that every one of the clients who come in to see me are the biggest bullies. The things that they say to themselves about their experiences, about their failures, about their setbacks are horrible, things that you would never say to another person. So once you understand that your language and how you talk to yourself really affects your self-esteem, your confidence level, and how you see yourself in your life, and you change that aspect, you can create significant changes within your life. So the podcast that I'm hosting, my goal with that is to really help people to understand that they have the power to boost their confidence, to boost their self-esteem, their self-worth, rather than tear themselves down.
You're a fabulously uplifting person. I feel better.
Yes.
Thank you.
I wish you all the well with that podcast. That's an excellent idea. And to get the word out there on your books and for everybody to start dabbling a little bit into your concepts and what you're trying to teach. I mean, it's only a positive road for anyone. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes. Well, everything I've heard from you today is positive, which is excellent to hear. That just it is very uplifting for an audience and for people who are talking to you.
And I have to say the next author is really good, but we're going to go from positive to zombies. I mean,
Oh, no.
we always get a little crazy here, but I'm glad we started this way. I'm going to feel a little bit better.
Well, we thank you for coming on the show. We hope to see your return back here again with some more books and a lot more self-help, because we see obviously that you're doing something, you're making a difference in the world, okay, and we're very appreciative to that. We're hoping on for your return. What do you think? You want to come back on?
Keep writing and keep visiting.
Most definitely. I really appreciate your time and having me in the show today. And I would love to come back and share more about what I'm doing and, hopefully inspire or motivate or give someone a tool to be happier in their life.
And if you're ever in Michigan, come see us in person.
Okay, not in the wintertime, but yes.
Fair enough.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. I really
right.
appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you.
Thank
It's great to
you.
hear from you.
All right.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, everybody. That was Jacqui Letran. And now for our next guest, we will have a returning author. It's almost like Zombie Land, but he's coming back with Stage 3 Alpha after this.
All right.
The world has turned against this. They have not done it.
Oh my.
There has been...
Data transfer complete.
All right.
I have seen.
second guest. You know, we all know who he is. Yes, he literally took over Zombie Land. Is Ken Stark, our returning author, and this time instead of stage.
This was number 1, stage 3.
There we go, stage 3.
That's what we interviewed him last time on this book.
Yes,
So
yes,
we're
yes,
lucky to
yes.
have him back. He's still awake, and so are the zombies, I found out.
With his new book, Stage 3 Alpha. Ken, are you with us?
Hey guys, thanks for having me back. It's great to be here.
Yes, yes, glad to have you back. Glad to have you back. Oh, now you're going to teach us something on stage 3 here. Stage 3 Alpha, that is.
Yes, sir.
So,
All right, start off by giving our viewers the lowdown.
Well, as you said, Stage 3 Alpha is the second book in a series. In the first book, Stage 3, we saw a world that was infected with a virus. Much of the population was turned into mindless savages with a taste for humans. And we followed one man, Hank Mason, as he came across a young girl named Mackenzie, and his final act of goodness, he was going to help her find her Aunt Sarah. As it happened, they never did find her. The book ended, Michelle called it a cliffhanger, but it ended with a big question, what happens to Sarah? So with Alpha, I didn't want to just continue the story and have them maybe find her and go riding off into the sunset. So what I did was I turned back the clock to that first fateful morning, and we see everything from Sarah's perspective. She's on the run. The hospital has just collapsed, and her only thought is to get home to Mackenzie. But as we know, Mackenzie's not home. So then she begins a search across the city, desperate to find this lost little girl, not knowing if she's alive or dead or somewhere in between.
Right, that kept me going on the book because I like you said, I said cliffhanger, so I want to know what happened. I wanted Mackenzie to find her. But now you start with her, so now I'm like, oh, now I got to read all this just to find out. You got me again.
Well, good. That was the whole idea.
Oh.
It was interesting to see it from a different perspective, because Mason was already pretty much on a me versus them footing even before the apocalypse. So it was kind of easy for him to switch on this survival mode. Sarah is his polar opposite. She's just as smart and just as capable, but she's a humanitarian. She's a nurse. She's been a mother in everything but name to Mackenzie. So she's driven by love instead of hate.
That was an interesting perspective. Why don't let's back up a little bit and let's tell our viewers a little bit about alpha, what this alpha means. In case
The term
they didn't read
alpha
the first
came about.
one, so.
The term alpha came about when a doctor at the hospital made a note on a person's chart. The stages, stage 3 refers to the stages of infection. So stage 1 is blindness. Stage 2, the virus has eaten away the higher brain functions and left the feral animal. In the first book, these were called wilders for obvious reasons. Sarah, being more clinical, she saw the notation on the chart that said acute loss of frontal lobe activity, which she shortened to alpha, A-L-F-A. And that brought to mind alpha dogs, alpha wolves. So she changed the spelling and started referring to these stage 2 people as alphas.
Wasn't there another term, though? I mean, they went from alpha to, they called them...
Yeah, there's another stage in stage 3. Alphas are still immortal, so they can die. And when they do die, the virus remains. So the virus rewires enough of their brain to reanimate the corpse and steer them towards the nearest human. In the first book, they were called creepers, again, for obvious reasons. Sarah has a moment where she's sitting in a car and she sees all of these dead faces pressed up against the glass, and she looks into their sort of vacant, soulless eyes, and she realizes that these are not monsters, but echoes of their former selves. So she already had the phonetic alphabet in mind when she called them alphas, so she called these dead things echoes.
Echoes. That was it. That was it. Now, without telling too much, of course, I noticed that you did, like you said, you changed the lead characters from the young Mackenzie, who was a very interesting concept, bringing a young child into a zombie book, which gave it a different perspective. And then you go into a more humanitarian, nurse-like, and then the kind of the Matson, the Hank Matson, the man, he kind of falls off a little bit. But why did you pull into a woman into this and drop the man who you think had more of a chance to fight these zombies, right? Sheer force?
Sure, yeah. Well, the easiest thing in the world would have been to just continue the story where it left off and have, the continuing adventures of Mason and Mackenzie. But I try, whenever I'm writing these books, I try to put myself in the mind of the reader and anticipate what's coming next and then throw them a curveball. Because nothing dulls down a story quite like knowing exactly what's going to happen. So hopefully it wasn't too jarring a blow, but it might serve to maybe give them an idea of the chaotic nature of the world. You don't know what's going to happen, and it makes it a little more exciting. Plus, it was fun seeing it from an opposite perspective.
Oh, I agree. And then, for instance, when something like that does go down, or if it could go down, there's so many different perspectives on who's going through it and how they're going to react to that. So,
yeah, absolutely. Everyone's different. We all see things differently. We all react differently.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you ever sit back and watch television and then see something on, say, The Walking Dead that looks just like something you've written, or or do you see something on there that, hey, I could have written that too?
There are actually moments where I think, I wonder if they read my book.
Never know, Ken.
Well, you never know.
It's Hollywood.
If so, then I consider it flattery.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So in the book, we don't want to give too much away, but I do like you to tantalize our readers a little bit. There's soldiers involved. Can you tell us a little bit about the soldiers and how they met them and who they really are?
Well, yeah, again, I don't know how much I want to give away, but spoiler alert, Sarah meets a group of people that she calls the soldiers. They're in military uniform, they're heavily armed, and there are some civilians in their care. Now, the normal formula in this kind of book is for these saviors to be the good guys, and then we find out later, oh my God, they're the bad guys. So, again, I didn't want to do that. So when Sarah meets up with them, she immediately sees through them. She declares these guys are the bad guys. They're thugs, they're bullies, they're murderers or worse. But over time, she comes to realize that, well, there's really no good guys and bad guys anymore, and maybe there never were. Good people do bad things, bad people do good things. And in this world, everybody does whatever they have to just to survive.
Right, and it isn't a zombie apocalypse. I mean, who's going to sit down and have tea, right? I don't think I'd welcome anyone into my house. So yeah, the good guy, bad guy premise. I could see where you don't really know where to go with that on a book like that as such. But yeah, it's interesting to see how different walks of life and different people would actually deal with a situation as such.
Well, yeah, and zombies are a genre that not many people seem to write about, as far as I can tell.
There's not a lot. I mean,
this is Ken's books and a few others out there, but not many. Although you do see it on, like I said, on television and the movies. Television and the movies seem to really go for that stuff.
But there was something I'm going to add to that kind of in agreement with. Your books, which as to see that you had changed it around, being a strong male protagonist, what propelled you, or was it difficult for you to be able to create a female lead, a female role model for this?
It wasn't difficult creating her. It was at times it was difficult writing her because obviously I can't see things from a female perspective. But she's not that much different from Mason. When the crap hits the fan, they both react the same way. They're both smart. They're both strong. So in that regard, it was almost like writing Mason, just with obvious differences.
Is it your way of balancing out not just the stories, but balancing out, a political viewpoint between male and female?
Well, I don't know if I'd go that deeply into it, but
yeah, careful grounds here. You got a chick up here.
it was just interesting to me to.
In other words, it's good to draw not just for men to enjoy, the zombie world, okay, but also to allow that women can enjoy it as well as being, knowing that they do have a lead in some type of zombie material. No, you see zombies. Zombieland.
Nope.
Okay, I'm gonna throw the camera woman in here. Zombieland. What were they counting? He was counting numbers.
He said something like rule 1 or rule
The rule. Thank you. Yeah, the rules. What you do and what you don't do. They had the rules.
Right.
Okay, so then they put it in for everybody. That's what I was saying about the having the female lead in it, because they didn't do that before. And then they put in the woman and the other teenager with her, who tried to play that she was dying of being bit by a zombie. And next you know it, that the women had took that lead role and ran through the whole show all the way to the point when they met Bill Murray. And they dumped Bill Murray's body, after they shot him, because he was pretending he was a zombie. So did you understand the concept was that it was the male leading role throughout history in the zombie
Woody
world.
Harrelson and Bill Murray in a zombie movie?
Yes.
I missed something.
Yes.
Did you seen that, Ken?
Oh yeah, it was a great movie.
There must have been humor to it. Zombie humor.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as zombie humor?
Yeah, I think they pretty
Bob's
close,
even laughing on that one.
Yeah, so you putting the female lead in it, okay, a woman in it. Obviously it was hard, but yet actually it was up with the times. If you caught how the sequence went from the late 50s, early 60s, till Brad Pitt took over on Z Nation and then now Zombieland.
I think any woman out there would love Brad Pitt, even if he was a zombie. I mean, I don't know. That's one guy who'd pull it off anyway, right?
Yeah.
But back to your book, okay. Now, I have a question for you, and maybe this is considered zombie ignorance, but do all zombies transform, or did you create the way these zombies transform? The whole concept of the stages, the stage alpha, the 3 stages. Did you create that?
Yeah, that's my own personal twist on things.
Okay.
So you can be infected by the virus. That's how most people turned. But you can also be infected with a bite or a scratch.
Okay, a bite or a scratch is normally how you'd get infected. The virus transposes to other people, right?
Right, yes.
Not from sharing a drink or anything like that. But then again, who's sharing drinks with zombies? Okay, so keep going, and then once you get bit, you don't turn right away.
No. When you're infected through a bite or a scratch, the change is a little more gradual than if you were just infected by the virus. So it could take a day or two.
In other words, there
That
are
is a
people in
very-
Africa who've been bitten by snakes often enough that a snake bite doesn't do anything to them anymore.
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I haven't addressed it yet in any of the books, but I plan to. You're right. If someone's immune system fights off a virus, they carry the antibodies,
Okay.
and they should be immune.
So we don't have too much time left, but I want another quick spoiler alert. Tell us about the next one.
The next book I can tell you is called Stage 3 Bravo, in keeping with the phonetic alphabet. And I'll say that everyone alive at the end of book 2 is in book 3. And we're going to meet a whole bunch of new characters, some of who will play a big part to come. And we'll definitely learn what caused the virus, because I did promise that. So we will know all about how the virus works and where it came from.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for that. So next book, right? Way to keep us reeled in.
It'll be in book 3 for sure. I promise.
Okay, all right. I'm going to have you back on the show, and if it's not, you're in big trouble, mister. Thank you for joining us again, Ken.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
And one time we're going to get you here live, just in case that spoiler alert was a lie.
Sure. Anytime.
Well, good luck writing your next book, and I hope you get more sleep than the zombies.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you, Ken.
Yes. Take care. Ken.
All right, we'll be right back after this.
back. Welcome back. Welcome back. So what do you think about those two?
Well, one was uplift. One was very spiritual. The very first one, Jacqui.
Interesting.
I am very positive mojo going on
Yes,
there.
very
and I don't
positive.
know where you go with zombies. I mean, where are you going to go with that? But he's an excellent writer. He really,
Yes.
the way he's running his series is almost like a mini soap opera. So it does,
Very good.
in reading the first one to the second one to the third one, it's going to bring me back. First time I ever read a zombie book, and I've read 3 in a year. Now, come on. So he's got to be good.
That's good. You're right. And comparing it to a soap opera makes me understand why you like it.
But that's why I like this show. We cover so many different
know.
aspects of authors.
Very, yes.
We go.
yes.
We can go from zombie to spiritual advisors
That's
to
it.
ESP or
Oh.
I mean we're all over the board.
Paranormal.
But that's
That's
what the
it.
writing
Yes.
world is
And
about.
fantasy.
That
Yes.
is what the writing world is about. Is taking everybody's different type of their attributes and what their interests are and being able to put it on paper.
That's it.
And that's the biggest thing.
You nailed it.
Put it on paper so you can have it on the shelf, right?
Right.
Very good. Bob?
I go with what
He
Michelle
just
said.
loves being here. That's all it is.
That's it.
And I'm open the door for you. Anything new in the political world
Nothing yet. But,
besides Korea with the you know, it's funny that Trump was calling him Rocket Man and versus.
oh yeah, that was good. And oh, there is something new in that Joe Bellino's out there trying to do good work and get the government off our backs at the state and local level. So we need to get behind Joe.
Maybe get him on the show.
Hey, that would be a good idea.
Joe on the show. Hey.
That's it.
Or otherwise, you want entertainment, just go to Donald Trump's tweets. Right?
Tweets.
Sweet.
There's a place inside my mind unseen, dreams of you and I that just can't be, but I can keep them safe and locked away inside. In a perfect world where I control it, give me your heart there and I would hold it. But I know that just can't be reality. But please, don't you wake my daydream, 'cause it's so real it seems. Maybe someday I'll get my head from the clouds, but for now I'll just daydream. If you said to jump, then I will do it. Right into the fire and walk straight through it. If you knew, I bet that's just what you would say. I guess the only thing for me to do is never let you know just how I'm feeling, 'cause I don't want to know if you don't feel the same. It's a shame. Don't you wake my daydream, 'cause it's so real it seems. Maybe someday I'll get my head from the clouds, but for now I'll just daydream. 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 kept safe and locked away inside. But don't you wake my daydream. Oh, so real it seems. Maybe someday I'll get my head from the clouds, but for now I'll just daydream. Don't you wake my daydream.